My name is Kate Baird, and I'm an exercise physiologist at the Hospital for Special Surgery, as well as the coordinator of running and metabolic services. And this is Move Better with HSS. Strength training is incredibly important for runners. A lot of times we tend to think if I run more, I'll naturally get stronger in running, and that's all I need to do. But research suggests that can be farther from the truth. All runners should strength train, and they should think about doing it year-round. Some of the reasons why strength training is so important fall into two primary buckets. Injury prevention. We know that runners are some of the most injury-prone athletes out there, and that just has to do with how much of it we do. But it can also overlap with how our frame responds to running. So there are certain exercises and muscle groups that we can work on to help reduce the risk of injury. The second bucket is running economy. And economy represents how much energy your body is spending to run. The ways that we can influence running economy are by improving how we absorb the forces from the ground during our landing and how we produce power in our propulsion phase or push-off of running. Stronger muscles means we'll be able to do both of those things better, costing you less energy in the end so you can focus on running your pace and completing your distance. When we think about strength training for runners, it can be easy to think, I'll train my lower body. Those are the muscles that I'm using to run. But in reality, it's your whole body that's out there running. And when we talk about the whole body, we think about the kinetic chain. And that's the concept that our body is linked together by muscles and tissues that work together to move the frame in synchrony. In fact, we need our upper body and our core just as much as we need our legs when we're running. The upper body is going to be responsible for helping us with rotation, which helps us save energy while we run because it coordinates with our legs. And our core is sort of the centerpiece that helps to maintain balance over one leg, because running is, in fact, a single leg activity, and helps us coordinate our upper and lower body systems so that they use the muscles as efficiently as possible. We all know that runners typically don't love doing anything other than running. But I am convinced that once you start strength training, you'll really understand the benefits. It's important to think about what you're leaving on the table when you don't include this type of work in your program. Things like muscle imbalances can begin to develop. We might leave some power on the table if we're not including these types of exercises. Research has told us time and time again that a stronger body runs better. So one of the things that runners are always concerned about is their form or their gait. And a lot of times we might see differences in running gait depending on where there may be weaknesses in the body. For example, if your core is not able to help balance you over one leg very well, we might see things like pelvic drop or knees moving in or out. Those are things that runners want to avoid because they do tend to lead to increased risk of injury. Another important muscle group is going to be the posterior chain, which includes your glutes, your hamstrings, and your calves. And those are the muscles that move you forward. Now, when it comes to moving faster and running faster, you're gonna need those muscles to be strong, but also active. And so if we're leaving some of that strength on the table, we might not be getting the full power of our push-off. Whether you've done strength training in the past and have taken a break, or are starting it for the first time, it's important to build a foundational base for this type of exercise. In other words, let's strengthen your frame so that you can get better and better over time. Those foundational moves are gonna be things like squats, lunges, calf raises, hip hinges. These types of exercise utilize a lot of the muscles that we need for running, including your core, your quadriceps, your glutes, your hamstrings, and your calves. And it's important that your body build tolerance to these types of exercises before we do things that are more complicated. Once you've mastered a lot of the foundational moves, it's time to get a little bit more specific. It's really important to think about what the demands of running are as you program the exercises you're going to include in your strength training routine. So because running is a single leg sport, it's important to include exercises that challenge your ability and stability on one leg, as well as your power and strength. Another domain that's really important is rotational exercise. So exercises that utilize our body's natural contralateral motion, which we all utilize when we run, right? Opposite leg and opposite arm. Including exercises like that are gonna help promote strength and power in those positions, which naturally bleeds into your running and helps to make you a more economical runner and a more aligned and stable runner. The next phase of strength training is where things can get a little bit different depending on where you are in your overall program and what your fitness level is. We have explosive strength training, which utilizes faster speeds and maybe a little bit lighter weight to really help your body develop that stretch shortening cycle that we utilize when we run. Now let me back up a second and explain that. When we run, we're going through a series of jumps. We have to land, rebound, and propel forward. That means that our body is using its natural elastic energy systems to make up some of the energy that we use. Explosive exercise can be really, really good at preparing the tendons, the tissues, and the muscles for utilizing that system to make you a better, more economical runner. The second bucket is plyometrics. Now, if you've never done any sort of jumping training other than running, box jumps, jump roping, single leg hops, it's important that you build up some tolerance to that type of exercise before moving into something like explosive strength training. Plyometrics include everything that bounces, from small little jumps to 18-inch box jumps. They're gonna help to teach your body how to land with good alignment, as well as develop the strength to then explode into your next movement. But to prevent injury, it's important to start at the beginning and build slowly over time. One of the most common injuries that runners face are overuse injuries. And these are the types of injuries that you're more at risk for the higher your volume of training, which means if you're training for a 10K, a half marathon, a full marathon, the more that you run, the more that your body's gonna be exposed to any weaknesses in your kinetic chain. Strength training can be really helpful during this period of time because it's gonna help balance out some of those muscle groups, especially when muscles get tired or are under a lot of stress from multiple days of running. Strength training can be a great way, A, to take a day off from running, and B, help to re-bolster your frame so that it's a little more durable when you go out for your next run. Now, what type of exercises you include in this period are gonna be relative to you. So having an idea of some of the needs is important. Some of the common muscle groups that need love during this time are gonna be your lateral hips, so the things that stabilize you on one leg, your ankle stabilizers, so making sure that you're doing some work for the calves and balancing on one leg, as well as your core, which is gonna help to keep you stable longer on those long runs. I know that it can be daunting to think about adding a whole nother program to your running program, but the thing that I wish runners knew about strength training is that it really has an impact on your performance. The feedback I get from runners is that I feel more powerful when I run, I'm landing with a steadier leg, and it takes longer for me to feel tired on my longer runs. It's important to remember that strength training doesn't mean you need to do it 5 days a week, all year long. Just like any other part of your program, the strength training should undulate or change depending on what you're up to. During times that you're devoting a lot of your days to upping your mileage, you might do a little bit less. And for me, I think it's really rewarding to think about how my workouts change depending on what I'm doing. This also helps to keep my body recovered and developing well over time. You have to think about running in the long game. At HSS, we have a couple of different assessments that can help to guide your strength training and help you channel the energy so that you're addressing the things most important to you as a runner. We have our movement assessment, a return to running assessment, as well as a running mechanics assessment, which are all geared towards looking at that kinetic chain and understanding where can we start to bolster your frame. No matter where you're at, we are here to help you move better.